David Sherwack here, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on Downspike Earthturn, and this tutorial was suggested by Mario KNDM. So here's an example of the trick, Downspike Earthturn. So there was an example of the trick, Downspike Earthturn. And before you start this trick, I suggest that you have a Kendama with some sort of stripe in the Tama, or some way of tracking. So when you're doing the Earthturn, it's a lot easier to track where the hole is. For this one I'm using the EMP, and it has a thin purple heart stripe, which is really good for tracking Earthturns and anytime the Tama is doing a rotation. So I suggest you have that, and I also suggest that you know how to do Downspike already. It's not too hard, but make sure you know how to do that, because all I'm going to be going over is just the Downspike Earthturn, not the pull up to Downspike. So if you have that kind of Kendama and you know how to do Downspike, you're ready to do the trick. So let's get into this. You're going to hold it in just a normal Downspike grip. Usually I do it like this. I don't have all my fingers on this part of the Ken. Usually I have some on the small cup like that. It just seems a bit more comfortable for me. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull up to Downspike, and I just want to point out one thing here. I used to do Downspikes like that, swinging it this way, but if you're learning Downspikes, this is just a tip, I find it a lot easier to pull it up and have the Tama spin this way, because when it spins this way you can see it turning around, and you can see it right when it's straight up. When you do it this way, it's kind of harder to see it, so that's just a suggestion. I do it that way, where I flick it up like that so I can see it right there at the top. So that was just a little side note there. You're going to do your Downspike. What you're going to do next is you're going to hold it in your regular Downspike grip, and I'm not going to be going over like an inward, I guess, way. I'm going to be going over the way where you flip it like that. So what you're going to do, what I do to make it look good, is I kind of hold the Ken as straight as I can, like this. I don't hold it like this, flat. I hold it with the big cup facing up. And what you're going to do next is you're going to bend your knees and release and bring it, kind of like bring the Ken up and give it a little push that way. So this is what the Ken's doing. And at this point, that's when you're going to release the Ken from the Tama and give it a little push so it does the motion. And really it doesn't need to be super fast like that. It can be a slow motion so you can spot it a lot easier, so it doesn't have to be fast. So just flip it, let it do a slow motion, and what I do is when I see this string hole at the top, that's when I start getting ready for the Downspike. So I hover it over, and right when I start to see the hole come around, I Downspike it. And like I said, having that stripe will really help. This kind of Downspike Earthturn goes along with what I said at the beginning, the kind of pull-up you do. You can either pull it up this way, or you can flip it up that way. Like, what am I doing? Flip it up like that. And this Earthturn is kind of the same rotation as that type of Downspike pull-up. So it's going to be kind of hard to spot it because it's coming around this way. And if you spot the Tama or the hole right at the top, and then you react, by the time you've reacted to that and you get ready for the Downspike and try it, the hole's probably already going to be over here. So you want to try and react as soon as kind of the stripe is just flat like this, and you can kind of tell that the hole is right there, because by the time you react, the Tama is going to keep spinning, and it should allow you to get a clean Downspike. If you were to do inward, it would be easier to spot it, in my opinion. Just the way it turns, it's easier to spot it. But I think that might be a bit harder that way, just because of the actual way to get it flip it. Is that English? I don't know. The way to flip it is a bit harder doing it inward like that. So what I learned first was this, and then you can move on to the different one later. But like I said, it's going to be kind of hard to track it, but definitely having a stripe in your Tama is going to make it a lot easier. As you can see, I'm still not like super consistent with it. I don't really do these that much, but just by the rotation, it's kind of hard. So right when you see the stripe at this point, if you have a stripe, that's when you're going to want to start doing the downspike, because it'll keep spinning, so that will allow for you to do a nice clean downspike. So I don't know if I explained that too much and it made it confusing. Tell me down below if it did or if it helped. And yeah, like I said in last week's tutorial, I have a playlist for all the tutorials that I've done. On last week's tutorial, I still got a couple suggestions for juggle spike, and that's the one I get the most for. And I've already done like probably 4 variations of that, different variations of like juggle spike, that kind of trick. So make sure to check that playlist, like I said in last week's video, just to make sure you're not suggesting an edit, or what am I saying? Make sure you're not suggesting a tutorial that I've already done. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Make sure to leave your suggestions for next week's tutorial down below, and make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.